We have people online. So much for all of the entertainment. I was trying to, no comments to display. I thought I had 2 minutes to get set up here. If you are online, feel free to give a chat, trying to find out if the comments will display into the chat bar. My name is Sean Driver, and this is the Red Horde. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're watching the world. It's exciting to be online live. Obviously going to have some hiccups. One of the first things, never using the software before, was finding out that as soon as you click go live, it goes live. Little did you know. So anyways, here to talk about the season release, here to wait for the balls to drop. Just a reminder, I've got the link down below. You should see it scrolling here at the bottom that particularizes the website that's got the YouTube website that's got the live draw where the balls will actually be released. Going to have to watch those concurrently. Join me as I go ahead and go through that and do that. So join that when it starts. I believe that's in about 15 minutes. It'll be up with a join live in 15 minutes assessment. So follow along with that. Wait for the balls to drop. We're number 38. In the interim, we've got 15 minutes here, and I was hoping to have a couple of people chatting. Like I said, I see that we've got somebody here. Don't know who that is. As I said, if you haven't commented, feel free to go ahead and do so. I'm going to click around to make sure that that's set up for just a moment. And there we go. So now with that out of the way, before we jump into everything, we've got that 15 minutes again before the ball starts to drop. I thought what we could do right here is just go through the assessment of the Pizza Cup. So we know from this morning, Newcastle United 21s joined the group. And what we know from yesterday is that they did add, we're joining the Group B in the north. We've got two teams that are already that we knew from yesterday, and those are Crewe Alexandra and Port Vale. An interesting, tasty little group. And I say that because those are about, I think, as far as proximity goes, might have been the two closest teams that they could have had. Certainly ones that we have history with. With the Crewe Alexandra, I'm actually quite interested for selfish reasons, separate and apart, that now we'll have 3 games with them, is that Crewe Alexandra last season, they were in League 2, finished 15th. And we've got 164 games historically against them. And so to me, I found that to be absolutely fascinating. There's some history there for sure, given the proximity to the railway men, that I guess is supposed to be expected. We've got, as far as the Pizza Cup, look, we all know what it is, despite the fact that it's new for us, or new in the sense that for new fans like me, it's been 15 years for Wrexham since they've been in the EFL. This is a new experience for a lot of us to go through the Pizza Cup. We're aware that it's not the most glorious trophy that's out there, but it is still interesting to see some of those games getting connected. So I did a bit of a dive into the games, and with Crewe Alexandra, then I ended up learning a little bit more. There's 2 players there that I think are interesting, both the defense, both center backs, Billy Sass Davies and Zach Williams, which I find they've got. Billy Sass is 23. His contract expires next June. 6'3" from Abergale, which is on the northeast coast of Wrexham, or sorry, northeast coast of Wales. And part of the joys of going live, I can hear that my eldest has woken up in the background. So we'll see how that deals with things. But he's from Abergale. He plays for Crewe, and he's had time on Wales U19 and U21 team. 6'3". Interested to see how he does, but even more interesting, maybe even Zach Williams, who seems to have passed him in the depths charts at Crewe Alexandra. Zach Williams playing this, he's 19, wears number 4. He had more games than Billy Sass Davies did yet last year. I don't know if that's entirely injury related or otherwise. but he stayed with them the entire year. His contract expires next year. Same neck of the woods as Abergale and Rill up in the northeast coast of Wales. And he's entirely a crew academy system. And that's that academy. I'm going to go through that and create a hors d'oeuvre, a video that talks about the importance of a solid academy system, because he's definitely been as a product is something that Wrexham wants to look through and develop for the purposes of ensuring sustainability with the franchise going forward. Port Vale, the other team, the Valiants, they're in League One, 18th last season, and really, as far as their record goes, almost identical with Crewe Alexandra, in that they last, since the 90s, 2000, sort of up and down between League 3, and they had a cup of coffee in League 2, or the second, I'll call it Tier 2, a cup of coffee in Tier 2 up in the Championship, or its predecessor named League 1, and then sort of up and down between the Tier 3 and Tier 4, League 1 and League 2 in the last 14, 23 years or so for each of them. Historically, 85 games against Port Vale. Last match with them was August 14, 2007. We beat them in penalties in front of 3,000 people almost. As far as stadiums, same size, same deal, really. So as far as in the Pizza Cup, we're going to get 2 home games. One of them is guaranteed to be against Newcastle United, their under 21 team, and we're going to have so 1 game away and 2 games at home. Gate receipts matter, so when you pick out your away game, I guess you choose for the largest of the stadiums is the one that's preferred. And I see another person has joined, still hoping to get my first message ever to one of these lives. So if you've got an opportunity down below to say hello, to click anything, just so that I'm aware that the system is set up. Like I said, first time going through it. So really, Port Vale has a capacity of 15,000. Mournflake Stadium, and for Crewe they've got 10,153. So I guess we want Port Vale away. A little potential and some extra cash there, which might be helpful and advantageous. I guess I'm also hoping that everybody hears me and everything's running all right that way. I got nobody else to test it. So you can see that scrolling down below, it's got the YouTube channel down there that will have the draw. I'm going to go through there and actually click so that it's loaded up and ready to roll. Schedule was released today. An interesting one. I would have thought, and again, this is a first time going through the whole experience, I would have thought that there would have been more rivalries right off the top. And there weren't. I mean, the MK Dons as our first home game. I mean, it's our first home game, so all of our games are going to sell out. But if you're, it's sort of a nothing burger. Franchise FC, we know the history. If not, I guess I can go through part of it. Is doing the split from buying Wimbledon, moving them up, having the 2 separate teams. I was kind of disappointed in that. I will say that what I do like about the entire schedule is entirely for selfish reasons, and that is they put my wife's hometown team over Easter. And so I guess I'm going to have to talk to her and really suggest to her that we should be making a trip to Doncaster over the Easter break. The only downside, I guess, is if I was going to Wrexham for a game before or after, I'm stuck with Mansfield as the team to watch at home. But I'm going to have to definitely look into that. I thought, like, we don't really get a rivalry team, and I guess maybe Swindon, geographical reasons potentially, although we've only played 36 games with them historically, so not much there. But it's really the Tranmere game where we start to get into things, and then the rest of, I guess, Barrow, August 26th. So interesting to hear your thoughts. If you have some, add them to the social. If you haven't had the opportunity, go down to the URL in the ticker below and find the website that will have the actual live draw. Obviously, for copyright reasons, not going to be able to stream that here, but check them out. and have a look. And then we're going to go through that. I'm hoping this chat works. Somebody, I see 3 people there. Just click on it. Let me know that I'm not talking to myself and everything's going well. The chat is rolling on. So it's if you search on YouTube live Carabao Cup first round draw, you'll find it. It's on the Sky Sports Football channel at that URL. And in the interim, in between time, just kind of going through some of the rest of the schedules items that are here. I guess the first month, still, we're excited. We're back. We're watching football. I guess it's only been 2 months ish, 3 months ish at that point in time when we'll be out of having an opportunity to watch games, other than the preseason ones. But the other thing that football does, and I know this, and it's maybe frustrating, is there's no rivalry as far as. I think the League Two maybe misses an opportunity to create drama and create story timing by putting sort of proximity between the games as far as timeline is concerned. Pick a team, it doesn't matter who it is really, and have them play a back-to-back just for giggles. Then you get to really know the players. You get to develop who you like and you don't like, and then you see them the very next day, right? And if a controversy occurs, you get to end up watching that with them. So I'm a little disappointed that doesn't happen. What we've got here is we've got a little bit of rivalry stuff through September. You've got Barrow, you've got Tranmere, you've got Grimsby Town, which for obvious reasons and how things went a couple of seasons ago, it's going to be nice to have them at home on September 16th. You go through Crew, who we're obviously going to see in early August with early August with the. I should have looked up the date to be certain when the EFL Cup or when the EFL Trophy starts. Oh, those dates haven't been released. That's the thing. We don't know when those are going to be released, but we'll have Crew 3 times this year. We know one of them on September 30th. And then it's home and away all the way through. Good news, we do have a home game to wrap up the season. That's always my preference. If you're going to need points at the end of the year for whatever reason, you'd prefer to be at home. And we will have Stockport County. I like that as a draw. 5 minutes away from logging into things. Again, to reminder to people who I see joining, give a hello on the chat. We've got it all set up here that says your chat will go online. I would like to see this little bubble. Everybody has the opportunity to participate, and this is sort of one of the things you see the match day watch-alongs. There's a lot of the larger clubs do this. Manchester United has a following that does this. Sheffield United has a following that does this. Celtic, and they have an opportunity. Newcastle does this as well. But what we've added here is the opportunity for people to, whatever platform you're watching on, whether that be Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, anywhere, that you can send a message and it should pop up in the thread, which it tells me is working. So that would be wonderful to see somebody say hello. If not, and I know you and you're online, send me a message on my socials so that I can say hi and do that sort of stuff. So 4 minutes away, still waiting for that to load up. I'm curious, and if you have something to talk about, Wrexham is ball 38. So who do you want to face? I mean, it's interesting to me that the numbers changed for the EFL Cup, largely, I imagine, because of the additional team playing in the European competitions, having 8 this year rather than 7. And so in years previous, the 2 highest ranked relegated teams out of the Premier League got a bye out of the first round. This year, that didn't happen. So for Leeds and for Leicester, they're going to end up joining the hey, Corey, the first. And now it's just nice to know that it's working. They're going to be the first to, Leicester and Leeds are going to end up having to join the draw as it is this year that happens in 3 minutes. So again, if you haven't had an opportunity to do it, we're not going to be able to stream the Sky Sports announcements of the draw live. So Sky Sports Football is the location to go to. I don't think the links will work, but you can search it on YouTube as well. Again, by clicking on or searching for live Carabao Cup first round draw. I see the chat there is screaming through. They've got 2,500 people sitting online. So join there. They'll end up coming live. I will be partially silent as we go through it, unless we get some chats and an opportunity to talk to through the process here. Again, we've done the draw for the EFL Trophy, Wrexham, Crewe, Alexandra, Port Vale. I really, 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 really like the group. I mean, you get the northern section teams, you expect some proximity and some rivalry, but to have, I mean, really, what are we talking? 45 minutes to Crewe and about an hour to Port Vale. That's nice to have some rivalry. Oh, I didn't update the graphic to say that it's Newcastle United 21 that is going to be the team that joins that group. I guess no real preference, home and away, who we have, but that's going to be exciting. And then obviously it all leads up to our first game against, again, MK Dons. It'll be nice to have a season opener. Frustrated that it's against a team that really no history, and I guess maybe it's an opportunity for Wrexham to get their feet set, moving up from the National League into the EFL for the first time in 15 years. There could be some benefits, some advantages against taking some teams that maybe there isn't that emotional connection as much with the fans, and give them an opportunity to sort of set themselves straight as matters move forward. Just confirming we're streaming. I'm surprised 3,300 is the team for the Carabao Cup. The Carabao, that's a slip because I used to live in the area. The Carabao Cup, the EFL Cup's going again, like the trophy, going to be a long time since we've been in this one. And for those of you who are a little bit less familiar with the trophy system in England, obviously not the main prize for the tournaments. That's the FA Cup. The money in the Carabao Cup is not as significant. The winner gets 100,000 instead of £1 million for that. But the gate revenues as well, you'll get 45% of the share of the gate revenues, irrespective of where you play. And so you see people treat the Carabao Cup as nobody tends to really care about it until and if they make a run into the semifinals. So the semifinals and finals are in Wembley. So as far as ticket revenues, there's a real opportunity to make some cash if you can push yourself that far. But I anticipate what you'll see is all of the teams sort of running out their reserves. It's a long season. You're not going to end up, especially in the trophy, but potentially in the Carabao Cup, you're going to see less than the top squads playing for the day. People who are banged up and injured may end up taking a spell off. And so it's there's two schools of thought as to who you want as a ball, or who to be drawn today, who you want to be your competition. For me, it's let's either get out of one of these early, like let's get United, and we're live on the Carabao Cup, and it should be coming through my headset. It's not, so I'm going to change that. I apologize for, like I said, first time live. We're going to run into some problems. There we go. Now I can hear it here. What I was talking about was what the strategies are with respect to how to treat these tournaments. And I would rather have like a Leeds United away as a draw and then lose out of the Carabao Cup and do that rather than end up getting some smaller teams, especially away, where they're not going to fill the stands. The gate receipts aren't going to be there, and you end up going 2, 3, 4 rounds deep, beating yourselves up and then losing out without an opportunity to make money. So it's one of those things, you kind of play it by ear. I guess I'm one of two things. Is I want to be playing in the largest of the two stadiums. That's the preference. And because you maximize your gate receipts, try and get some extra cash. And I either want a very winnable game, or I want to have that day out. In Leeds United, in Leicester, let's see what we can get for gate receipts and do that. So we're waiting. How the draw is going to work this fall, for every year the EFL Cup splits into northern and southern sections, and I guess we can't get Leicester, we can get Leeds because of the north-south divide, but that would be the whole the goal. If we can't get them, what do we want? Another League Two team towards sort of the bottom of the group, maybe without significant travel, somebody close by. Give us Crewe again. We'll do it again and have 4 games this year and really get stuck in. That could be entertaining as well. But I don't know what your thoughts are. If you have a preference, somebody you're looking for a ball that in particular that you want to drop, or I guess get picked out of the bag, out of the bowl, then let me know who that is. For me, I guess I'm looking at give us somebody big or give us nothing at all. And if you are going to win one game, you might as well get through the next couple of rounds so that you get an opportunity to get that day out. For me, in both the cup and the trophy, I'm yay if we win, and I'm not bothered if we don't. Run out the reserves and see how they do. The FA Cup is obviously the massive prize. Because you get cash once you get into the proper rounds, which we don't have to go through the qualifying rounds because we're in League Two. Once you get through a couple of the first rounds, there's some benefits to moving through. So they've started their draw. If you haven't, again, search for live Carabao Cup, CARABAO, first round draw or the Sky Sports Football Network, and they're pulling numbers now. So Plymouth Argyle, first team up, and I believe, I didn't hear, but I believe the Blue Balls, the first ones out, are the home team. Yeah, so home teams come out first. And again, don't really have a preference, home or away, as to who comes out of the bag and out of the... So Forest Green up next. Not really so particularized, concerned about who comes out first. It's more about who you end up getting. So Forest Green and Portsmouth, they're off the list. 31, that's not us. Swansea City, that would be another good draw to pull one of the Welsh sides. That would be fun to go to travel to Swansea. Not for us. Northampton's going to get that one in Swansea. I guess we could take Cardiff, though. That would be a fun one to play. Exeter's at home. They're going to wait until this is the last one out of the bag. And they're doing the South section first. It can't even be ball 38. Ew, so we get to, I might as well come back to you because I'm not even that bothered. You look up the research before and you see who's in the North and the South, and then you hear a Wales team pop up and you think, hey, we can get those. And the reality is we can't get those. So that's not the way that the draw works. So Northern, Southern section. So we're going to wait. Wrexham 38, still looking for somebody to add their contribution. Is there a team that you would prefer to get? Like I said, not really that bothered either way. And I can hear the munchkins waking up. These morning games, if I'm going to do these lives, I may end up having to relocate if we're going to do these match day watch alongs, because it could be a bit of a challenge here. Because he wants to come and see Dada and can hear my voice. Wow, that's cute. So, I mean, I guess if there's good news, it goes through these sections pretty quick. I see that we've got 5 people. If anybody wants to stay afterwards and have a chat about the season, I'm happy to chat about the draw. Otherwise, can carry on with our days. Still waiting to see who we end up getting here. Some of the other teams that are on the list that might be a little bit tasty for us as we go through things is I mean, do we want to have a Notts County early on? Do we want to have a Grimsby early on? Anybody out of League Two really early on? I guess for the benefit and sake of it, it's more likely that you advance in a tie than not. Again, there's no home and away in the Carabao Cup. They'll end up resolving things day of, which makes sense. They don't need to be running people through for the second most significant trophy that's out there. But some of the other ones, Wigan, close, some history. I think that one would be interesting for me. I wouldn't mind Bolton, Bradford City, Attendance FC. I mean, I've been talking about attendance, and that's maybe the only good thing that Bradford has going for it is it's got a larger venue. So get into that one. I don't know. Derby, that would be another fun one. Derby County would be good away. Leeds City, Leicester City's in there in our group. Let's pull one of those ones and have a large away. If not, let's make it a team that we're going to be able to beat so that we have that opportunity to go forward. So they're tearing through these relatively quickly. I always like these live draws. It's something that we don't have in North American sports, the tournaments especially, right? Mid-season tournament where everything goes on hold, no other games are played, and you end up running through on the road to go and play an extra competition. It's fun. The only other tournament or thing that is similar to this sort of stuff is the Ranfurly Shield that they have in New Zealand for their rugby teams. I've always found that one interesting, where they have a shield challenge, and the holder of the shield has to put it up for competition a certain number of times a year. I think it's 4 off the top of my head. And then a team can come in and end up taking it. It has to be a home game. You have to go on to into their stadium. You have to beat them. It's kind of a nice little addition to what's out there. And so still going through the South section here, but these tournaments are always fascinating to me. I'm trying to compare it to anything that we have in North American sports, and we don't really have them, at least in the professional level. When you're a kid, sure, this is sort of run of the mill. When you're a kid, you'd play hockey or whatever, and you'd have your regular season games against the geographical rivals, the schools or the hockey teams that were close by, and then you'd have a tournament, and you'd have some big ones potentially. If you got into midget, you'd be playing the Max tournament in Calgary, and I say that for you, Corey, because you're here, and having to travel for that extra competition. But to have a season long draw for every competition, it's fascinating. It's unfortunate that I guess the Pizza Cup, it being set up differently. Obviously we have a group, and then you can advance out of the group. The top 2 of the 4 move on. Shared receipts, but when you're dealing with League 1, League 2 teams, you're not going to have your big day out, I guess. And so not a lot of prize money, both as far as gate receipts for continuing through the tournament, not a lot of prize money at the end of the process. And so it is sort of a filler. The Carabao Cup can be rewarding if you make it to the semifinals and you're in Wembley. But other than that, it's sort of nor here nor there. But the FA Cup, by all means, last season, people were saying I'd rather not have a deep run in the FA Cup. I was kind of hoping for it because I saw the money that was there and was available. But this year, promotion's not desperately necessary like it was last year. Certainly would be nice. You move up and you get the advantages that come from the distributions and the larger games but I don't think it should be a race to the top. There's some sustainability and some frameworking that has to be done to sustain ourselves. And so I hope we're promoted, but it's not going to be like last year or the year before where you feel gutted. For 15 years, I guess, for Wrexham fans, you feel gutted if you don't make it. So that's just my take. I don't know. Let me know if you agree with me. The comments are there. Feel free to say hi. Feel free to send a message. Feel free to tell me where you're watching from and what you're doing. They've started the North draw, so this is where we go now, waiting for ball 38 to come out. Notts County. I have zero interest in our ball being picked out of this one. It's number 20, Lincoln City. Bolton. Bolton at home, Bolton away. That would be a good one to watch. Paul says a good cup run rather than pushing for promotion would be great. Yes, and Paul, I'm curious, what's your thought on the different options as far as, like, would you include the Carabao Cup in that, or is it just the FA? Because right now I'm sort of torn. The Carabao Cup, if we make it to the 3rd round, okay, now we're in, let's do it. But from the 1st round, it's not like the FA Cup where I'm into it, right? I want as far as we can go on the FA all the way through. And thanks for joining, Paul. I appreciate it. Mark Roberts from Yorkshire, but with Welsh ancestry. I guess you're allowed. Still waiting for 38 to fall out. Welsh ancestry. Don't we all have a little bit? Grimsby Town. So there's still some interesting balls that are in there as far as options. If you guys are watching along here, 32 getting close. Stoke City. That would be a fun day out potentially. 36 got close to us. 29. As far as the Welsh ancestry thing, Mark, goes, I've got that on my dad's line, and so, or sorry, on my mom's line through my grandpa. And so I think when I joke, I think it's because everybody from Canada who has the same complexion as me ends up having a little bit of Welsh, a little bit of Scottish, a little bit of English. And so certainly mixed up there. Leeds United playing at home. This, now give me 38. This would be I think the perfect first round. Oh, 30. Shrewsbury Town. I don't know. I would have loved to have had that just for the rivalry stuff and the discussions and the fun. That would have been a good one to have. They're going to end up giving us one where now we're going to want to end up playing and actually competing to have an opportunity to win. Make it through the round so we can have that opportunity of getting a big draw and a big away day. Rotherham leaving the drama as we were going through the bag. No 38. I remember the last draw I watched. We were like the third one out. Morecambe. Love the pronunciation of Morecambe. When you look at it, it's like Gillingham and Gillingham. Harrogate. I'm trying to look and go through the list of who's still on the list to find out who do I want next. Burton Albion. Up at home. 19. Leicester. That would have been a nice one to have as a day out as well. And I think that knocks off most of the teams that, you get Accrington Stanley away in the first round of the Carabao Cup. There's little to get excited about on that one. Bradford. Attendance FC. Bradford's fascinating for all of the options, people that are there that can fill that stadium. And they live in League Two recently. Derby would be fun. Give us Derby. Pull 38 here at home. Go away. Number 5. Now we get Blackpool, or Blackpool gets Derby. Brr, nothing's working. There's no juju, no magic. Nothing's happening here. Port Vale away. Having them in. No, that would have been interesting to end up having an extra game as against Port Vale and not knowing the trophy structure home and away. It would have been interesting to see if we would have had a home and away or 2 trips away, 2 trips that they come to see us. Didn't work out. There's not very many balls left. Like, what is there? 8 left in there? 34. Tranmere. Hey, lots of historical reasons why Tranmere would be a fun one, and we don't get them either. Blackburn. Blackburn would have been a good one to pick too. Also, all right, who's left? They're keeping the Wrexham fans in by. Did they weight that ball down so that anybody who's logging into for the actual draw? I imagine it's going to be a number of Wrexham fans. The excitement of actually being a part of this process. And did they weigh these balls down to keep us near the end? Middlesbrough. Unless I missed it entirely while I was talking to you guys, and I'm sitting here frustrated because we're still waiting for it to come out. 38, here we go. Oh, we're at home. Who do we get? Wigan Athletic. Hey, geographical proximity, you take that one, I guess. Obviously going to be a bit of a match. I'd rather probably have had Wigan away just because of the stadium and the opportunity that was there. But I'll take Wigan Athletic. They've got a larger stadium, 25,000 newer. So you're looking at a championship team from last year that's now been relegated. So they'll be a League One team. That's going to be a solid team to end up coming into our barn. Again, stadium size, would have loved to have had the opportunity to probably run that one away. If I had an interest in making a good cup run in the Carabao Cup, I'm different. FA Cup, Carabao Cup, FA Cup, run the gauntlet, go as far as you can. Carabao Cup, I'll probably start to care at about the 3rd round, but that makes this one sort of interesting in the sense that it's a home game. There's an opportunity whenever you're at home to win it. you'll take that, I guess, as the chances play out. But I kind of hope that Wigan comes in and sets us back a little bit, I guess. And it depends on this. My opinion will change depending on how we are with the schedule. If we're at the top of the table when that first round starts, and I feel a little bit more confident as we go through, I'll end up saying I don't want to win this one. Where if we're at the, things are looking grim at the start of the season, then these are the runs that you kind of want to make. So Wigan, no joke, that's a serious one. Yeah, I appreciate that, Mark. New owners, squad's tough. Who knows? I definitely take that on board. I guess transfer season is always difficult to predict right now exactly who's there. There's a surprisingly amount of contracts that are out there, and transfers that are anticipated. So difficult to look at the club and end up anticipating, predicting what will happen. But Wigan's got a history. I'm curious if I go through their history. I mean, when 2005 to 2013, they were in the Premier League, and then they bottomed out and actually sat near the bottom of the championship for quite a while. But I've always thought that Wigan had a better history than this. It's sort of interesting that it goes back to 79 and through the third and fourth tier, bumping back and forth. My recollection is that Wigan was a little bit stronger than that historically, but I do recall them being in the top in the Premier League. So they've got good history. They did bounce back into League One and then turn it back over, and just recently, and they're back down again. But that's not going to be an easy one. We've proven we can slay dragons before. In fact, when it comes to cup runs in Wrexham, it's one of the things that Wrexham is known for is slaying some dragons, being the giant killer. Do I think Wigan's a giant? No. Are they definitely larger than us and probably expected to win? Yeah. And so you're going to end up having to take that on board. So I don't see a lot of continuing chat here. Again, I'm going to just wrap up my thoughts on the draw really quickly here, if I can end up bringing this back up, and then we'll call it a day. I've got a real job to go and do and soak up and take in. So I appreciate I have seen this number of viewers moving up and down throughout. And so I appreciate anybody's had an opportunity to join. Again, this is going to be a feature that I'm hoping to run for the duration of the season. All of these games that we've had, that heard about, the fixtures are out, the trophy, the cup. The whole intention is to be able to come here. I can bring guests in. So if you want to be on here, we can arrange the cameras so that you can join. We can have the chat, hopefully get to know a bunch of people from around the world. This, for me, waking up at 4, watching games at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning is an amazing experience because I'm enjoying watching Wrexham, but it's also frustrating because it's difficult to connect with the community of Wrexham fans around the world. And this, I'm hoping, is one of the more significant opportunities for us to be able to have those conversations, to follow along, chat, no goal, offside, get into the controversies, whatever's going the day of. And so that's really something I'm looking forward to. Just going to go through the fixtures again. Nothing really stands up. There's no substantive, stay at home. I guess geographically, what we're used to in North America too is you tend to end up playing like a series of games at home, and then you go out on the road and you play a series of games. You have your road trips and you pack your bags and you're gone for a week or two. And the players are living out of their hotel bags doing their thing. Don't have to do that in the UK because getting over to England, not that big of a deal. I didn't look up when we play Newport. So December 23rd, the holidays, we've got Newport at home, obviously another Wales squad. And that one is probably the closest to like games being tight together. December 23rd at home and January 20th away. So that's interesting. And I wish they would do more of that. Just pull the timeline closer together because it's difficult. I don't know if it's difficult for people over there who have easier access to football than we do here. But it's impossible to know every player on every team, right? Is what I'm finding. I'm certainly going through and doing my research, trying to figure it out, trying to get caught up. But when you play them and you watch them and you see, you don't like number whoever, you don't like how the referee treated things and the benefit that they got or maybe we got. it's nice to have that live and fresh when you start the next game, so that game's a little bit more heated. I think it's maybe the only thing. Maybe, well, no, it's not the only thing. I'll leave the other one for a later day, but it's one of the things that as far as scheduling goes, I think that League Two could do better with, or the EFL in general. But look at the end. I always look at the start and look at the end. Again, September or August, sorry, not a lot there as far as exciting, passionate, invigorating games. MK Dons and AFC Wimbledon, the split, and we get both at the start. I guess that's fascinating. That will a Phoenix club rising out of the ashes of a club that still exists, but just exists in a different location. That's an interesting back-to-back, playing two different versions of a former team. End of the season, obviously, look at that April 1st date. I haven't talked to my wife yet, but maybe Easter in England wouldn't be such a bad thing. Donny away. That'd be the only League Two squad I've seen. They were in League One at the time I watched them, Rochdale. And maybe I shouldn't go because they played a cracker of a game. I think it was 5-1 was the final back in 2019 against Rochdale. I'm going to have to talk and see what we can do around Easter. Put out alarms to anyone who's listening that's something that's in the hopper and being thought about. And I have to go earlier, I guess, because the home game, if I'd want to go to Wrexham at the same time, that's March 29th. So that's looking like the personal targets for me. Again, end of the year, not a lot of rivalry games, but the last three, home, away, home. So let's get to that part of the season to have those mean something, and see how we do. Forest Green, obviously, bottom of League One last year, so difficult to predict where they'll sit. Middle of the table lower. Usually when you struggle that bad in the league above, you kind of expect not to come in and be directly in the hunt for a promotion going back up. Crew, middle of the table, should be all right. Stockport, certainly, that's not going to be a walk. So that's an interesting end of the season. Boxing Day, Swindon Town away. I mean, geographically, I believe we're close. 36 games against them. I would have. Could you not have found a better rival for Swindon so that we could have a better rival as well? I don't know. New Year's, we've got Barrow, so that's interesting to me. Barrow's certainly one that I'm definitely looking forward to. I see more people joining the chat. I feel like I almost end up having to stay longer just to have an opportunity to chat rather than wrap it up. If you came for the draw and you missed my thoughts on it, I'm kind of ho-hum. Wigan, solid team, but I would have rather had them away. My take on it is you either make a deep run or you don't. Not sold on making that cup run for me. I know that Paul has said in the chat that he would rather have that cup run rather than pushing for promotion. That'd be great. So different thoughts out there, but for the way that I think about it is the FA Cup, make your run, right? The rewards are there. The Carabao, we'll see how it goes. I would have liked to have had my day out early on. And if you win the day out, then hey, things are good. Now you got some extra cash in your back pocket for the club, and away we run. So I guess there are going to be, I know Rob, Ryan, Red are doing a schedule assessment. I'm looking forward to going through that to see if there's anything that I don't see here. But I see New Year's Day, Barrow at home. All right, it's okay. Boxing Day is kind of disappointing. There's nothing in the schedule that really jumps out to me, except for the fact that it's all new teams, really. I mean, not entirely. Notts is there, Grimsby's there. We've got experience with 15 years in the National League. Some of these teams have moved up ahead of us and jumped over top of us. So I'm looking forward to getting stuck in, getting to know who the teams, the players are. But for me, that's the big news is the names that we're talking about are all new. They're all bigger. They're all better quality clubs. Well, I'll say that the top three quarters, I actually think that the bottleneck, and I agree with Ryan Reynolds when he says there should be more promotion from the National League and more relegated from League Two. 100% agree with that. You look at the statistics since the National League went to two teams up instead it used to be one. And you look at the statistics regarding that, and no team that's relegated, I think there's one. And I'm just going to see if I have that number quick and available. But one team, I believe it was, that went and did the quick turnaround from relegated into the National League and back up, what you usually find is it's the other way around. There are 17.5% of the time the team that's promoted from the National League ends up getting promotion again. That's what I'm sort of hoping for, but it's not the same going the other way. And I think what happens is teams fall into tough times financially, managerially, support wise, otherwise, and they fall down the ladder, and then they get saved sort of in the bottleneck that is leaving the EFL. And I think that's frustrating for the teams that are in the National League looking to come up. So personally, despite the fact that it may be against Wrexham's interest whenever you're in the top, I do think that the bottom of League Two is weak and has weaker teams than the top of the National League. And I don't think that structure should ever be there. I mean, you're going to anticipate that to some degree, but I think it's noticeable here. But the top 2/3 of League Two, these are bigger clubs, and so any of these games are going to be great. I see a lot of 3:00 starts, which for me is an earlier AM start, but at least I can take part and watch and do these sorts of things. So I'm hoping that you guys enjoyed this. 46 minutes is longer than I thought we'd go on about things and rambling to myself. I am looking forward to adding more people to this. If you watch this, whether it be, I'm going to rebroadcast this on YouTube before I go to work. If you are interested in the format, you can see the chat is up here working. You can see that we've got bells and whistles and things down below. If you fancy yourself a potential YouTuber and you want to stream and you've got things to say, you think my knowledge is garbage and you want to talk to me about it and criticize or friendly or otherwise, sign up, send me a message, send me a DM, tell me you want to do this with me. We can go through, we can chat about games. We can end up, I would like to end up doing sort of a roundtable discussion with fans where we get on, I don't know, once a week, once a month, and we just have different guests sign up and register and log in, and we'll have a chat. Where do you come from? What do you think of this game? What do you think of that action? That transfer? And so I'm excited about this as an opportunity to sort of get us who are living outside of Wrexham, outside of North America, who have fallen in love with the club, an opportunity to really connect and chat. So, do that. I hope to see you at the next one. I don't know when the next one is. I don't know if we'll do the FA Cup draw. It doesn't happen for a while. I don't know if we're going to have enough interest to do this. If I can find a guest who wants to come in and talk transfers, I would love to do that. So this is the platform I'm hoping that it develops into and grows into, is one where it's fan interaction. So if you want to be a part of that, please do so. I'm going to hit you with the fire on the way out. Thank you so much for spending your morning with me. If you're in Canada, spending your afternoon with me. If you're in England, from wherever you are, it's been a blast. I've actually enjoyed this, talking to myself, maybe just the sound of my own voice. Who knows? Anyways, thanks guys. I hope to see you all again soon.